When you see this, you should know that it represents Artcite. Here we are, 109 University Avenue West. We're just gonna pop in here to the gallery. Oh man, there's a show that is basically going up right now. You can see the construction equipment, a photography exhibit. Actually, if you get a real close look at some of this stuff, there's a bit of etching happening on this like plastic covering of some of these photographs. I'm gonna sneak around the corner and see Jody Boatman. You are from, well, it says you're from Ohio now. You just told me you were from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I'm from central Pennsylvania, but I've lived in Detroit,
Come on.
St. Louis.
Okay.
Now I live in Grandview, Ohio, which is a suburb of Columbus.
Right. All right, well, you got a show here, and it's really interesting. It's always best when the artist describes what the artwork represents and what it is. So why don't you do that?
Well, I've been working on this work for about 10 years, and it's essentially about my relationship with my grandmother and places that remind me of her. So, you know, images with a lot of like wallpaper and texture and patina.
Ah, okay, so that makes sense to me. Like some of these, well, like this in particular.
Yeah.
I mean, these things, I'm like, what? How does that remind her? Because I know it had something to do with your grandmother, so that's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it's all places that remind me of her, and she died in 2001, so I don't have access to her home anymore, but I've found a lot of places that are similar throughout the years, and so I've been making photographs in those places. And with the pieces with the etched stuff on them,
Yeah.
they're floral.
This one.
Yes. I found a website many years back that had this description of what flowers mean when you're given them, when you're getting married.
Yes.
And since a lot of my work about my grandmother is about her relationship with men and my grandfather, I thought these were really interesting because they have terrible meanings.
Well, this is a show again. You'll be here for the opening, which is
Friday night.
Friday night. Today is
7:30.
Thursday as I shoot this, so Friday night at 7:30. If you want to come and meet Jody, you can come to Artcite, 109 University Avenue West. And yeah, the show's going to be up for a month, so if you don't make it to the opening and you don't get to talk to the artist, you have a sense of what this stuff means. Come and check it out. Thank you.
A month of activities that bridge art and labor. Today, those two sides came together to work on a special quilt. Pat Shefflin has the story.
Lower the needle into the material.
Sewing machines were humming at Artcite this afternoon. Artists, actors, and others in the labor movement came by to help make the patches for a quilt that will be carried in the Workers' Parade on May 1st. The idea for the labor quilt came from Deborah Dunlop. She's a quilter and one of the organizers of Mayworks Windsor.
It was born from the idea cooperation equals love, and we all need cooperation in the workplace, working with other people, and so we wanted to do a project that was a visual of that cooperation.
Each of the quilt sections has a picture from past labor events, going back as far as the Ford strike in 1945.
The three pieces of material closest to the picture represent the blood, sweat, and tears of the labor movement, and then the outer pieces represent the dark period, the chaos, and the light on the other side, hopefully, for workers.
Approximately 40 people are contributing a section of the quilt. One piece is coming from as far away as Wisconsin.
What I think is interesting is the way Mayworks functions, and that we're a collective of organizations, and we meet about once a month. No one's in charge, and we decide everything by consensus, and we support each other's activities because we're all interested in labor arts and community arts and making a super festival for the city.
The quilt will be displayed at 10,000 villages after the May Day parade. Mayworks begins on April 28th with the Workers' Day of Mourning for people injured and killed on the job. Pat Shefflin, CBC News, Windsor.
There's a new art exhibit in town that features the gentle giant of the sea, but the tone of the show isn't so gentle. Monster is an exhibit at Artcite on University Ave West. I know I said it was Capitol Theatre, but Artcite is right beside the Capitol. Roxana Jackson is an American artist. She says the show was inspired by whales in captivity. Jackson was moved to create the piece shortly after a whale killed its trainer at Orlando SeaWorld last year. The artist stresses this is not about politics, but about asking questions about how we relate to animals in captivity.
So it's understandable that this killer whale, hence the name killer whale, would, out of frustration and feeling trapped, would kill his trainer. And it also happened he killed another trainer years prior. And so the idea of monster in relationship to the image of a whale really talks about the human relationship to whales. Who is the monster, really?
The opening reception for Monster is tonight at 7:30 at the Capitol Theatre. Admission is free.
After a year off due to construction at the Volmer Recreation Complex, the Fahrenheit Festival of Fire sculpture is returning to LaSalle this weekend. CTV reporter Christy Bezaire introduces us to two local artists who spent months on sculptures, fully expecting that they'll go up in flames.
Dennis Bolahan and Steve Daggle have spent countless hours creating one-of-a-kind masterpieces, but these sculptures won't last long, as they've been built for destruction.
I think everybody likes to have a bonfire in their backyard. It's theatrical, it's kinetic, people can come, spend an hour and a half, see some sights, and they can go away with a feeling that they saw something they've never seen before.
Bolahan went to a similar event in France about 12 years ago. The next summer, he hosted the first Fahrenheit Festival in front of about 100 people in his backyard. It was an immediate hit, growing to about 2,000 spectators at the last event.
They invited me out to watch it, and I instantly caught the bug, because it looked like a very interesting art form, very unusual, very ephemeral, to say the least.
Daggle has contributed sculptures for 7 years now.
It's 22 feet when it's open to the top.
He says this moving flower is the first sculpture he'll be a little sad to see go.
Once the sculptures are complete and on display, they're stuffed and covered in hay to make them extra flammable.
This year, 11 artists will feature pieces, most of them returning contributors. Bolahan admits it can be hard to convince new artists to dedicate months for about 10 minutes of spectacle, but he says it's worth the commitment.
It's a chance to do something on a monumental scale.
I guess the payoff is when people see it and they really get excited about it, and it's a very short burst, but it's a big burst.
Christy Bezaire, CTV News.
Wow. Fahrenheit Festival takes place this Saturday at the Pond Park of the Volmer Recreation Complex. Doors open at 6 p.m. as they say. The big art burn begins around 8:30 dusk. Entry fee is $5 for adults and just $1 for children, Sunday being the rain date.
Artcite's 30th annual fundraiser is on. It's called Doing the Louvre. The art is hanging from floor to ceiling. It features artists from the area, which includes those from Detroit and southeastern Michigan. Everything you see there is for sale. The lowest price is 99 cents, the highest $99.99. Doing the Louvre runs until December 23rd.